Okay, so next we are going to derive the expression for vector perturbations. Transformation of vector perturbations. So we have seen the derivation for scalar perturbations, and let's see what are the steps, what's the effort involved in transforming vector perturbations. This is the expression I am interested in. This is what I want to derive, and this is what I care eventually. Eventually, I want to see how to take one perturbation from one gauge to another gauge. And this is the intermediate step, part A, I have written. So let's first derive part A, but after deriving part A, this is what we are going to take further. This will be our take home, this part B. And from part B, we can derive part C. We can write the expression for part C. Part C is how for alpha is equal to 0, what is the corresponding expression? And for alpha is equal to I, what is the corresponding expression? So let us first look at part A. So what is the first step? First step is that this arbitrary field, this expression that we have derived for arbitrary field, we need to write this now for a vector. So let us write this expression for a vector. And what do we get? So we have f caret. Now we are going to, instead of f caret, I'm going to write f alpha. So I'm going to start here f alpha caret p2 minus f alpha caret p1 is equal to minus f alpha in the background universe at p xi 0 at p. Okay, so this is what we have now. Now the next step is, after we derive this expression, the next step is what is alpha caret p2. Again, we are going to use the same trick that we have used before for scalar field, that we are going to write this as f alpha caret p2 is equal to f alpha caret p2, and this is what we have seen in our previous videos. F alpha caret p2, how does it transform? How does it transform? Transformation expression at one given point. Go back to the review sheet and see what is the transformation expression at one given point. So go back to the review sheet, which we have seen in one of our previous videos. So what do we get for this expression? What is the transformation expression at one given point? We have f alpha tilde at p2 is equal to f alpha caret at p2, f alpha caret at p2 plus xi alpha beta at p into f bar beta at point P right? So this is what we have seen earlier, and I am just copying the same expression which we have derived earlier. And what is from here? What can you see from here? can you see from here that f, so this is f alpha tilde P2 and this is f alpha caret P2. So I can write f alpha tilde P2 is equal to, now instead of f alpha caret P2 I am going to replace the value of alpha caret P2 from this expression to this expression. And why am I going to do that? See, this is a trick here. What am I going to do here? I am going to get the relationship between, by the way, this is caret. See, the trick is that I am going to get the relationship between the value of the field at P2 and the value of field at P2 in gauge 2 and the value of field at P1 in gauge 1. This is what this relationship is. And this is the hardest part for this derivation. Rest is easy. Because rest is simply that I will split this into the background value plus the perturbation. I will split this into the background value plus the perturbation. Background value will be cancelled from both sides and we get the same relationship. I mean, we get the perturbation plus the same terms. So this is the main part. Understand? We are deriving the expression for the perturbed field for the relationship of the value of the perturbed field at P2 in gauge 2, at P1 in gauge 1. At P2 in gauge 2 and at P1 in gauge 1. And why we are doing that? Because gauge transformation means transformation in same set of coordinates. So this is the same set of coordinates. P2 in gauge 2 has same set of coordinates as P1 in gauge 1. That is why we want to find the relationship between P2 in gauge 2 and P1 in gauge 1. That's what we are going to do. P2 in gauge 2 and P1 in gauge 1. So we start from here, then this gives us this, and this is the 1 point expression which we have obtained earlier. Now you see, now we get P2 in gauge 2 and from here I can write f alpha caret P1 minus f bar alpha P xi 0 P plus xi alpha beta P f bar beta at point P. So now we have obtained this thing, f alpha tilde at P2 is equal to f alpha tilde at P1 minus f bar f bar alpha at P xi 0 and so this is prime. So here we should have prime. And where is that? Here we should have prime. So did I get the correct expression? Plus xi alpha beta P bar beta P. Okay, good. So A part is done. Now coming to the B part. B part is simple. You split this into f bar alpha P plus delta f alpha P. Split this into f bar alpha P plus delta f, and by the way this is in the tilde gauge and this is in the caret gauge. Tilde gauge, so delta f tilde, delta f caret, Not, I mean, backgrounds live on the background coordinate system. That's why I'm using alpha here, not alpha caret. So alpha is the coordinate of the background universe. So f bar alpha p plus delta, and all of this notation we have gone through many times in our previous videos. So if there is any confusion with the notation p alpha tilde caret p1 p2 p1 p2 tilde caret bar, go back to the previous videos, practice them as much as you can. Practice, like, go back to those expressions and derivations again and again. This notation is very confusing. I know, if you are like I had a very hard time getting my head around this notation. I had to practice a lot, over and over again, and then I was able to get hold over it. So go back there, practice again and again if there is any confusion. But if you are fine, then let's carry on. So f bar plus this, and that's it. So when you plug in these values, then you see this and this get cancelled and you get this expression. So from here, the next thing we want to derive is for 0, when alpha is 0. So what do we see when alpha is 0? When alpha is 0, what do we see? Let's see. Delta f tilde 0 is equal to delta f caret 0 plus xi 0 comma, did I miss anything here? Could we further simplify this or no? I think this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. Xi 0 comma beta, and I'm writing this because all of these values are at point P. See, in the perturbation, all these quantities are, all these expressions are evaluated at one point P. That's why I'm writing this now without point P, because now there are not different points. They are all evaluated at one point P. So that's why I'm not. It is implicit now that they are all at same point. So I have xi alpha beta f bar beta minus f alpha f0 f0. So f, I think this is f bar here, this is bar, right? So the bar should be here. So f bar 0 prime xi 0. That's what we have for the background universe. For alpha is equal to 0. How can we further simplify this? Do we need to simplify this further? If yes, what? What can we do? What can we do here? Think. Maybe we could have done it earlier. Let me see. Could we have done it before? Could we have done it? What is f bar beta? F bar beta is the value of the vector quantity in the background universe, and we have seen that the value of a vector quantity in the background universe, its spatial components are 0. Am I right? So just think about this, that what we can further do in order to simplify this. So we have this, and this is of the form f bar. This is of the form f bar, and you contract it over beta, you get xi 0, comma 0, f bar 0, and there is no need to write the f bar I component, because f bar beta is of the form f bar 0 and 0 vector. So perhaps we could have done that simplification here itself. Here itself for the vector we could write this as 0, 0, 0, 0. Why we could write this as 0, 0? Because if you have xi alpha beta and f bar beta, then if you contract over beta, you will get xi alpha 0 f bar 0 plus xi alpha I f bar I, and the background value of a vector field for a cosmological field, a cosmological vector field in the background space-time has value 0. So this term goes away. Okay, so we could do that simplification here itself. Okay, so what do we get now? Now we get delta f0 tilde is equal to delta f plus xi 0 prime f bar 0 minus f bar 0 prime xi 0. So this is what we get for the alpha is equal to 0 part. Next we would like to derive the expression for which part? Next we would like to derive the expression for the I part. Okay, so what is I part? Okay, so let's plug in I here. What do we get? Delta f tilde I is equal to delta f caret I plus xi I 0 f bar 0 minus f bar I prime xi 0. Now what is f bar I? We just said that f bar I is 0. So this goes away, and this is what we are left with. Am I right? Let me verify. Yeah, I'm right. Okay. So this is what we get, and make correction here that here itself in the part A we could have done that simplification, that when you are contracting it over this repeated index, when you are contracting it over this beta, then you have f bar eta is 0. That's why you are left with xi alpha derivative with respect to time, and here f bar eta, only the 0 component. So we have derived all the important expressions for vector perturbation, and I will put all these formulae in my review sheet, and so that we can later on, when we are looking at cosmological fields, we can take advantage of all these beautiful derivations that we have done. Next, we are going to look at three types of tensor fields: tensor of type 02, tensor of type 11, and tensor of type 20. Okay, so I'm coming back in my next video for those derivations. Thank you.